Hey, Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com. I want to share something about what I think is one of the most important things that you could know. You know, there was, for years, people said that Socrates said, "I know that I know nothing." And that's been quoted. But when you dig in a little bit more, you find out that there's no proof that Socrates ever said that. Actually, he said something in that way. Plato later said, "What I do not know, I do not know. I do not think I know either," right? Which is a little bit closer. But the gist of what these two great minds, right, were saying is that none of us really knows that much. and, you know, I want this to be a little inspiring for you and very valuable for you. And so you might be thinking, oh, wait a minute, how could that be of value? Well, I mean, let's face it, the older we get, what do we learn? We don't really know that much. We might know a lot, but it's still not much compared to all there is to know, right? And so why is this of value? Well, I can think of three incredibly valuable points to this, you know, because one thing I know for certain is I know a lot about certain things, but I know very little in the big scope. And even the things I know a lot about, like I know an incredibly large amount about teaching and growing a network, right? Because I've done it for so long and taught it, and I'm a natural teacher. I love to teach it, and when you learn and do and teach, it completely like augments your learning, especially when you see it. You see it and experience it for so many years. But these things I've learned long ago that I want to share with you. And the first is open-mindedness. Once you have an understanding that there's so much we don't know, man, it keeps you open-minded. I mean, if you think about it, how do you feel about people that are closed-minded? I mean, really, you can't trust them, right? I mean, you can't trust a closed-minded person because essentially they're locked in a box. I mean, there's nothing else for them. I mean, they're stuck. It's kind of yucky. I just think it's yucky. A closed mind is yucky, right? You hear the old adage of mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. That's true. That's really true. I mean, you can't have a closed mind in today's world. And to have one, you know, it used to be that if you continued to do what you've always done, you would continue to get what you've always got. That's not true. In today's world, if you continue to do what you've always done, outside of fundamentals, yes, but you got to learn new ways to apply them and use tools. If you continue to do what you've always done, you're going to get less, right? Because the world's changing so fast and so much, right? So that's an important thing. The other thing that comes from this is, you know, is that it mitigates fear. Right? When you understand that you don't know, right? I mean, think about life, right? I mean, stuff happens all the time, right? You don't know what's going to happen in the next minute. You have no idea, right? There's people that wake up this morning and that's the last time they ever wake up, right? They didn't wake up thinking this will be the last time I wake up, right? Something happens. The craziest stuff happens, right? Life happens to everybody. And yet we walk around often in fear of things that will happen, which is crazy because we don't know what will happen, good or bad. So what's the point of being in fear when we're just going to take what comes? And you know, now we're going to work and be purposeful in what we do, but to have fear about what we know versus what we don't know doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So when we acknowledge that we don't know everything, it mitigates fear because we're not responsible to know everything. We're only responsible for our behavior and our actions, and whatever happens, happens. And so when you can remove fear as a primary element in your life, holy cow, does that open things up. And then I think the most important point is that it keeps you humble. You know, I'm not any better than anybody else. I'm real clear about that. And neither are you. You know, yes, you are unique. You are different. You have your own DNA. You've got your own set of skills and affinities and passions and interests and knowledge and experience, resources. That's awesome. But you know better than anybody else, and I know better than anyone else. So I'm not smarter than anyone else. I'm certainly not more intelligent than anybody else. And so by having that perspective, man, think about what we can learn, right? Think about how much new stuff we can learn by having that spirit of humility where we know we're not self-important, right? I mean, that's, you know, I think that the quote that I heard, and I think Ken Blanchard said it, that people of humility, they don't think less of themselves. They just think less of them. They just think of themselves less, right? I mean, that's a really powerful truth. And so it's really important to wake up in the morning and say to yourself, what will I learn today? What will I learn today? Because I promise you, you can learn something in the first minute you're awake if you're really aware. You can learn something in the first hour. You can learn something from everybody you meet, everybody you touch. And to be that kind of person who's open and not steeped in fear and has a humble spirit, man, life can be really good. But that's you got to come from that platform, because otherwise you'll have all kinds of limitations. And I don't want limitations for you. So I hope that this is helpful for you. If you're building a business, feel free to visit my blog at toddberry.com. There's lots of great resources there, and that can help you. All right? Take care. See you next time.